tonight's episode, Murder by the Numbers.
Hey, did you know that you could help support our future projects and let everyone know you're a fan of what we do? Check out our print-on-demand store. We have a tab here on YouTube. When you click on it, you can choose from a bunch of different items we have, shirts and posters and coffee mugs. Click on the one you like. When you find the design you want to put on it, choose a color and a size if it's appropriate. And when you purchase these items, a portion goes to help fund our future projects. We really do appreciate your support. You get some cool stuff. When you get that stuff, post pictures here and on other platforms, and we'll hook you up next time you order from our Gear website store. Thank you for your support of gunwebsites.com.
At Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Boom. And welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. No, wait a minute. What are we doing? This is the Instagram show. So that was the intro from the Daily Gun Show, but it was the intro that we have that has the most bacon in it. So in honor of Woods being the first one to show up today, we did the bacon intro. So welcome everybody to our Instagram show where we go on Sunday. Well, on each Sunday we go live and look at what's happening over on Instagram. Is my, I guess my camera is on for some reason. Looking at the back of my monitor over there. I'm assuming my audio is working. Give me some heads up if you would. So we go live on Sundays and we take a look over what's happening on Instagram over here on YouTube. We do that so that people that don't like Instagram can check it out, and maybe so that people that don't like YouTube have an excuse to come over here and look at a video. But it's also an excuse for us to chat about all kinds of different topics and projects and people that are happening in the realm of the Second Amendment, stuff that's focused on what our Second Amendment protects. All right, so first off, thanks to the people that show up live over here on YouTube. It looks like today it's a private show for Woods, our friend up in the Pacific Northwest, who's an aficionado of the bacon treats. So that's why we did the bacon intro today. We have a poll out there. Let's say YouTube and Instagram meet up at a restaurant. Who pays for lunch? And your options are, and this is just for the people who show up, so basically it's just a poll for Woods. Your options are YouTube buys the lunch. The other one would be Instagram pays for lunch. Or do they both run out of there and leave the restaurant hanging with the check? Or, of course, come on, man, you know the thing is an option for people that want to choose that. So if you're watching live, feel free to participate in that poll. Today, no fee for that. You can use that poll for free. You're welcome to do so. So now we're going to open up a new tab, and in that tab, we're going to create a new window, and we're going to open this up and head over to Instagrams. Lots of stuff to look at over there. This is our page. Let's take a quick look at our page. We hardly ever do that. We posted yesterday about the 2A Activist Choice Awards. Concept I came up with while I was driving the other day, and threw it out there for Tony Clover and the folks that were listening to Ask Gun Questions, and we sort of played around with the idea for a while. Looks like we might go forward with it, or we are going forward with it. It developed into an idea, in other words. We posted a link. I was just sitting here looking at my favorites and thought, hey, why don't I take a picture of that? So I took a picture of the favorites and posted a few of those. Posted a few images as I scrolled down through the favorites, and then linked to them. At least that was the goal. I think YouTube stripped off the links because there was so many of them, and then asked people what they what podcasts they follow, what they watch. just an excuse to throw some reciprocal links out there, links back and forth through the platforms, through the mechanisms that we were playing with. Let's see, we posted about the weekly show that happens on Friday nights, midnight Eastern. I have been going through some bayonets and getting the buyer's guide pictures, some more consistent pictures, some better lighting and that kind of thing, to illustrate things like how diverse the Bulgarian bayonet belt loops are. I don't know what it is. They must have had a bunch of them in a warehouse probably that got moldy or something, and they had to replace them, and they ran out of materials to replace them with. Lots of speculation over the years on why the Bulgarian bayonets have so many materials used, and this is my collection of what I have left. A brand new one that's never been opened, and then I'm assuming what it looks like inside that new one, and then lots of different variations of materials. Some close-ups of it, and then to show you some of the other differences there. Now they're Type 2 bayonets, look almost identical. I have a ton of them here. There's some fluctuation in the colors, but different, it's what makes bayonets interesting and tedious to keep track of, but also very interesting. We did a breakfast poll, or a bacon poll, however you want to look at it, over on YouTube. Feel free to participate in that. Posted about the gun calendar, periodically going over to the gun calendar and focus on the events that are coming up and the events that are happening as they go by. And as you can see, we kind of go back and forth with stuff and things on our account. But what we're here today for is to look at the stuff that we have saved. And when you save stuff, you can set it up to save stuff in folders. So if I really wanted to, I could go grab all the posts that we've made about books about guns and Second Amendment. So I haven't done that many, but there they are. But in this case, we're going to go into those saved files, and we're going to go to the most recent ones, and that's what we look at. That's what we feature in this show each Sunday. So I'm going to make this window as big as I can while still keeping the live conversation going on over here. There's Gary. Good afternoon. Thanks for hosting your live shows each week. And then the poll is over here, so you can participate in that poll if you'd like. So now I'm going to zoom in on the browser so that we can see Instagrams as big as we can. And I typically scroll back about a week, and then we dig into the posts. And I got to figure out where a week ago was or so. Did we talk about Dingle last week? We could pretty much start anywhere. So let's start with the Pot of Gold auctions. They do a big auction each year, each Tuesday, pretty much every Tuesday they do an auction. And the big one, a big like antique or military type of gun auction, happens in December. So they were posting about that. We have San Diego gun owners talking about how the New York CCW infringements were infringed or whatever. I think that's what they were talking about, an update on that. Michael, one of the hosts of the show, does these updates, I guess, while sitting in a Jeep in a parking lot somewhere. So you could do your Instagrams effectively sitting in a Jeep somewhere. You could probably even do it in a Toyota. I don't know. The NRA, Horkin, this is literally stolen from Keltec. And look at, Keltec is cool with it, I guess. It's kind of weird. But this is a Keltec meme without any kind of credit given. NRA wrote their name on it. I don't know. I think there's a subtle adjustment to society happening when we don't care about people stealing each other's memes. I mean, I guess it's cool. It's open source, or is it communism? Let me know what you think. But I thought it was a cool meme, and now I've thought it even more interesting how many people are grabbing it from Keltec and using it and moving it around. Do people even know it came from Keltec? Then we've got Guns for Everyone posting a thing about people would rather get their Gazette, the Guns for Everyone Gazette, in a digital copy. But I think he's saying thanks for the support, but they're not doing it that way. He does it as a paper thing intentionally. Then we have Cape Gunworks posting that on November 4th, Beth Alcazar from Concealed Carry or USCCA is going to be doing what's it called? Come and find your why and learn from Beth how carrying a firearm is different for women and how to better defend your family. So Beth is the author of the Women's Handgun and Self-Defense Fundamentals book that USCCA publishes, and she does curriculum, ladies-only curriculum. That'll be on November 4th. Then we got Cheryl Todd posting a bunch of pictures from, like a collage of pictures from her DC project trip from earlier last month. Wait, what was up with those bags? We're gonna watch the whole thing again to see the bags, I guess. So when Instagram does their little reel thing here, can you pause it? I'm gonna see if you can pause it by clicking on it. Nope, you can't even pause it. All you have to do is watch it over and over. I think that's a strategy by the platform to, well, first they encourage people to put up those quick picture type of slideshows, and then they don't let you pause it. So you literally have to watch it over and over to try to see something that might flash by on the screen. It's an interesting tactic. Some of the other platforms let you click on the screen and pause it. So, just a little insight, a little observation, I guess. So my internet says that it's really bad. I get this little radar over here says that my connection is unstable. So is that happening? Is this a bad connection, or is it coming through? Okay. So this was that post from October 7th. I guess I probably should have looked at the date earlier, but I wanted to hit this one no matter what. This is technically more than a week ago, so these have all been from too far off, but so these are all doubles, but it doesn't matter. So this is Representative Dingell, and I think I'm not sure if he's still around, but just a reminder or a little insight, if you hadn't heard it before, that when the laws were being created in 1968, this Democrat from Michigan is the one that alerted the NRA to start doing something, be ready for an assault on the idea of the right to own firearms. That was a debate that was created after the Nazis created their strategies, and people in the United States politicians in the United States were willing to apply those tactics. And this Dingell, even though he was a Democrat, was like, hey, I don't agree with this. So he started raising the alarm. And I might be summarizing it poorly, but effectively that's what happened. So I like to bring that up. People like to be divisive about politics and stuff. There's a little piece of history that helps people calm their jets, perhaps, with that. Or maybe people will use it to fuel fires, who knows. So speaking of putting out fires and fueling awareness, we got Tony Simon hosting another diversity shoot. I learn more and more about these things because Tony and Clover and I do the Ask Gun Questions, which is, an hour or something long. And then we bullshit for like 2 hours talking about stuff. So there's a lot of dynamics going on here. And I can't wait for Tony to be able to have the ability to, let's say, franchise this, take it to the bigger steps. He's learning along the way things that you wouldn't expect, when you think about facilitating a traveling, I guess, a moving campaign or a project that goes from different ranges, every once in a while to different states even, and then brings new people. You need certain things to be consistent. It's just a lot. There's a lot of pieces in the mix, and it's a lot of stuff. Give him a lot of credit for being able to accomplish it all. And I can tell you 100%, he's like just not thinking of how to capitalize on it. I know I've seen other people do similar things that haven't accomplished rooms this big, but will fund it with like a room a third of this size and consider that an accomplishment. And, I just think it's a great contrast to see Tony, who's actually there to make sure the room of people has an experience that's positive and then effective for everybody involved. And he's able to do it. But again, without that urge to just get it funded and be done, because a lot of people are just trying to get the virtue signal. Oh, we had this event. This many people showed up and it paid for itself. Now we moved on to the next marketing project. That's the opposite of what Tony's doing here. Anyway, so I like to talk about those projects. He's got another one coming up. This was from before. That one already happened this Thursday. All right, so here's Gun Owners of America saying, as we promised, right after and they decide to use the losers, the politician loser's name for the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association decision, Gun Owners of America will defend your Second Amendment. All right. So as they promised, they're going to defend our Second Amendment because we thought they weren't. All right, well, I guess they are. And it says after some restrictions on whatever, they highlighted this thing that says these states have come into compliance or we will force them to, said some guy, a lawyer for Gun Owners of America. So a bunch of people gave them tacos and flags and stuff. All right, so now we got Attorneys for Freedom, a lawyer here in Arizona who is running for senator against Giffords' husband and a Republican. So he's going as, I can't remember if he's going as an independent or a libertarian, one of the two. But he's got 15% of the polling. Not like our poll over here, which is free from YouTube, but the polls that they use for the politics. But that's an indication to go over and check out the poll. So here's the situation. YouTube and Instagram decide to meet up at a restaurant. Who's going to pay for that lunch? Is YouTube buying the lunch? Biggest company on the planet, probably, maybe. Instagram buying lunch, which is basically Facebook. So it's like, a lot of money. Or are they running out on the check? 43% of people have such little respect for YouTube and Instagram that they suggest, they would imply that YouTube and Instagram would run out on the check. I got to make a disclaimer to poor Instagram and poor YouTube who are being victimized in this poll that I put this up here I figured no one would pick this. It was humorous when I put it up here. I had no idea people would choose this as an option. So this, of course, is not the views of this podcast, who does not feel that way about our Orville Lords. But anyway, so you can vote over here if you want. It's free, and we'll move on. So Gallinson's Guns in Salt Lake City is a pretty cool shop. In fact, if I had to pick all the shops of the 200 something I've been to in my travels, oh man. And here's the thing. I have had bad experience with them. I had a whole big thing and then got solved or whatever. So I've got a little bit of back and forth. So it's not like, I'm not just walking up to all these shops and having pleasant experiences and then walking away, all smiles. But at the same time, I give them a lot of credit for what they are and what they're doing and the way they're doing it. I'll say it that way. I'm going to say it that way. So I think they're a cool shop. I'm going to say of all my shops I've been to, or all the shops I've experienced, I shouldn't say that. Of all the shops I've experienced, I mean, I don't know if they're top 10, but I have to really think about, because they got like Dragon Man's, but they're up there. So, and if you started putting into the experience, going to Salt Lake City, where you've got so many other things to do with guns, including the Browning Museum, North American Arms, Silencer Co., Cobra, there's a bunch of stuff there. And they got some awesome ranges there. They have an event there no, maybe they don't. Oh, yeah, they have Shootah. So you could go there in conjunction with like Shootah and experience a cool gun state doing a state level gun get together. So yeah, I don't know. It might even be in the top 10. So if you've been to Gallinson's, let us know. So you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't know about you, but I consider a good gun shop that's been there forever, where there's some old guy that knows where everything is, but there's every single place in that thing is holding product. Like there's not a square inch of that shop that isn't probably 2 layers thick worth of stuff. Just decades and decades and decades worth of stuff. So just a super cool shop. And again, the way that they're running it, oh man, and maybe they are in the top 10. I'm going to give them maybe a really solid top 10, but I have to keep in mind that I've been to a lot of shops and some of them are really neat. And I don't like to dismiss little shops. Gallinson's is a pretty big shop in the realm of people that are paying attention to gun shops, I think. If you were going to do a gun shop tour of the United States in 2022, you have to put Gallinson's on your list. I'll put it that way. You have to put it on your list. All right, so next is Gizzard Gary. So I guess he was giving away a bunch of free stuff. I believe this was because he's been doing his live conversations for 5 years. So that means every Sunday, maybe he missed one, every Sunday he goes live and keeps a community together provides an opportunity for people to figure out who they are, right? Same way you would in some kind of a civic organization. Maybe not the same as a church, but at least the social aspect of it. You know, you're gathering a bunch of people together for an extended period of time each week. So you get to experience people's evolution and their opinions and their situations, and you get to get a really good finger on the pulse of how it's going around the country. What Gizzard provides is what the internet is, has the opportunity of the internet is what Gizzard provides. So 5 years doing it is nothing to laugh at. I don't think there's nobody has done it, a project like Gizzard's is for 5 years and continued to be interested and interesting along the way. I mean, no small achievement at all. Congratulations on the 5 years. And for people that are jumping in and experiencing this, the internet isn't just like this. Like they don't owe us this. Gizzard puts a shit ton of effort into providing a place through thick and thin. And I mean, it's obvious, but it's also often overlooked. The obvious is often overlooked, or unappreciated. So very much appreciated. We would have a different community, a different internet if it wasn't for Gizzard being a big part of keeping it together. Carrying on the tradition of Pink and Mr. Knives out there. Actually, at some point, Gizzard are just going to bypass them, probably, just because there is no, gun channels only existed for so long. 5 years. Damn. Guy 45 cal up in Kansas also had this wolf walk in. So I think we did talk about this one last week also. I always like to put pictures of puppies up, even though some people say you're not supposed to put pictures of puppies on the internet. Moon Food always posts cool pictures, so I posted this one. Gun Owners America announced that they're working with this guy for the SHORT Act, the Stop Harassing Gun Owners. I think we mentioned this one last week also. They started putting their logo bigger, and they've got like a bunch of stuff you can read on here. I don't know. They got 3,000 likes. 3,000 likes. Seems like a lot. I mean, it's more than I get, for sure. 3,000 seems like a whole bunch. Where'd that NRA one go? What would the NRA one even say? Oh, the NRA one only horked that one meme from Caltech, right? Here it is. 60,000? So a factor of 2,000 times larger? Not 2,000 larger, but a multiple of 2,000 times larger. And people would gladly disregard what the NRA's potential is. So Gun Owners America is by far the most popular of the organizations right now. And 3,000 posts. They don't do that many posts, so it's not like I'm picking their worst post or something. I'm going to take a moment to charge my phone. Let's take a break and say, hey, if you haven't charged your phone, consider poking some kind of a cord into your robot, or laying your robot down on one of them charging pads that the fancy phones have. That thing needs juice. Let's see, what have they been posting lately? This dude, little meme. Free range American FBI something. That guy again. And there's mine. So they post a bunch. Let's see. 3,000, 800, 2,000, 3,000, 1,000, 900, 900, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 2,000, 1,000, right? Now, what did I do? I should have to go backwards, I guess. Oh, yeah, that'll work. And then go back and find that NRA one. Nobody's going to like this. People are going to get mad when I do this. It's happening, though. I'm doing it. I mean, first off, they stole the meme, and they got 60,000 views from horking a meme. It's not even horking. It's literally stealing it, right? They wiped the name off of it. That's stealing. And they wrote their name on it. It's effectively valor theft of memes. Is that a thing? What the hell? Why is it showing me a map? Did I click on something wrong? I went into Meta. Sorry, I accidentally went to Meta. I apologize. Let's hover over 182,000, 56,000, 102,000, 8,000, 37,000. What's his face? What's his noodle? Oh, it won't even show me. Why is that? It quit showing me after a couple. 50,000, 47,000. You get what I'm saying. Factor of multitudes bigger. And they're not even trying. Like, they don't even, do they even pay anybody to do this anymore? I think they just have like an intern doing it. probably a highly paid intern, but you know what I'm saying. They don't have their big fancy marketing team doing it. So I have nothing against Gun Owners America. I'm just saying, let's not think like Gun Owners of America is going to just take over for NRA. That ain't happening. Be realistic. So a lot of people don't like to hear that, like I say. Like it's some sort of messing with people's, what would that be called? Messing with their comfortability. Maybe that's what it is, their comfort. All right, so next is one of the people I found from the DC Project's last visit to when they were at the Supreme Court building. So I started following, or no, I think maybe I started following Stephanie even before that. But one of the DC Project ladies, it says 3 simple life rules. Some people can't read cursive. If you do not go after what you want, you'll never have it. Makes sense. If you do not ask, the answer will always be no. Makes a lot of sense. If you do not step forward, you will always be in the same place. So I like how they post these things using the internet to keep people understanding that we're not alone and we're not doing things in vain. There's lots of potential and there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of successes, along with the failures and the misses and frustration. But going the other way, we got Ron Wayne, who likes to post about these increments of success on his channel and the waypoints along the way. So he did one with 12, I think. He did another one with some other calibers, 38 or 357, I think. Now we got 223 happening. So I always dig it. One, you get ammo out there. 2, you get people thinking about making their channels grow. This is the time to make your channel grow, by the way, on the lead up to Christmas. People ain't going to tell you that if you go over to Clover's project, GunTuber Academy, he'll probably tell you. But think about it. It's election season. You've seen a lot of people come out of the woodwork, right? A lot of videos being posted right now. Guess why? And you're going to see them post until Christmas because that's every year. So election year, you're going to see people come out of the woodwork who normally ain't around. Oh, remember me? I'm still here. Remember, I finally got around to being, I finally made time to make videos when it pays off, right? And then, of course, Christmas time, you're always going to, this is the time to get a channel going if you wanted to think about getting a channel going, because this is the time when growth happens. Growth doesn't happen at the downside of the swing after Christmas, which is when people that aren't paying attention get all frustrated. So giving you a little tip there. So thanks to Ron for giving us the updates on the channel, and again, inspiring those who think about these channels that we have are mechanisms, right? We get better when we go to the range at mastering the tool that wings a projectile in whatever diameter we like. You know, we get better at drawing the pistol so that we can accomplish a better or faster draw or whatever it is that we're looking for. You're allowed to do that on the internet too. It's your internet. It's your project. Right? You can succeed. You can be taken more seriously. You can understand the thing, the mechanism of it by participating in it. Anyway, I'll quit lecturing. But thanks to Ron for doing these. I think it's cool when people pay attention to their own projects. I'll tell you what, 8 months from now, 8 years from now, you're going to like going back and seeing your waypoints. It's going to help you technically when you're on your climb to see what kind of momentum and trajectory you're on. But then after you've been around for a long time, hopefully you'll be able to look back and you'll get memories of when you took that picture. It's pretty cool. Value your projects. You're not observers. You didn't just buy a ticket to the internet. You have a place on the internet. Use it. Use everything you do on internet is watched. It has to be in order to know where you are. Be aware of that. Flip buttons, flip switches, open doors, toggle stuff. That's what it's for. And when you do that, understand what you're doing, and you're promoting the people out here that need it the most, the people that you value the most. If you want to learn more about that kind of stuff, go hang out with Clover on GunTuber Academy. Ask them questions. Right? So Dan posted a thing. Okay, let's start talking about birthday months. Our personal information, our data is our information, but it is Dan's birthday month. So happy birthday to Dan. Cool dude. Pot of Gold Auctions, AZ Firearms, and Gun Freedom Radio. Chris from the 740 also posted on a waypoint, 1,700 subscribers. Pretty cool. again, for all the same things I just said. You're going to dig it. I suggest doing something like what Ron's doing. Have some fun with it. Have some interaction. Again, you're going to remember it, but you'll also remember it fondly in the future, right? You're giving yourself a tag to the past. Our projects are allowed to do that, right? Your project is allowed to document your experiences, right? Not just show off in front of people who are looking for be entertained. You're allowed to use your project for your own uses. Gizzard is posting some stuff he got from TriggerCon. I don't know if he's got music. It's TikTok, so I always skeptical of TikTok. I don't remember. But this was a pretty cool deal. That little patch keychain thing he got, I really dig that. This is also cool. Little, what do you call them things? A stress hat, I guess. And then this thing. So all these are cool. However, let me ask you this. Should the Kansas Highway Patrol be spending their money on things that aren't like this or not? I mean, I guess it makes sense if a little kid is coming up and going, what do I want to do for a living? Well, now I know what the Kansas State Patrol is a thing, I guess. And I can see this, you know, if you have family or something, or you got some tie to the thing, then you're allowed to have some cool stuff. But at the other side, it's tax money. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to see this being provided by the friends of the Kansas, or, you know, fill in the blank. It's not like I care about Kansas. I'm just saying in general, should the state police be having to do their own marketing? In 2022, we know there's enough people that champion everything, no matter what the organization is. There's just people that champion it. I'm just lecturing again, but, you know, consider if you're looking for something to do, champion something to take that out of their budget. If you create a cheerleading squad that they can take this out of their budget, you have helped your whole state out. And you've probably done better than what they're going to do because they're just paying some intern to buy merch. I don't quit lecturing, but that's sort of the goal of this show, I guess, is to mansplain. There's Mark Victor here. You can hear what he's saying.
Don't kiss anybody's ring. One of them kisses Biden's ring. The other kisses Trump's ring. I don't kiss anybody's ring. One of them kisses Biden's ring.
So I don't know if he's going to win, but I do like that he is willing to offer an alternative. So I put a couple of these. Which one's this?
Because drunk
Oh, this is actually pretty good. I'm going to try to get back to the beginning.
spend. You asked him specifically, did he scrub his evasion? It's happening because of both the Republicans and the Democrats.
Oh, well, I only heard the first part, but he does this thing about, he's like, I want to defend the drunken sailor because unlike this guy who's spending our money, a drunken sailor only has his own money to spend or something like that. And it's just a funny way of saying that the other person is spending way too much money. Again, attorneys running for office. I don't think that's unusual. Attorneys running for office on the internet, you know, it's a whole different thing. We got some pretty big attorneys out there that either made a bunch of fame for themselves during the things of the last couple of years, or a shit ton of money. Like, unless they're really stupid, they made a shit ton of money. Are they going to run for office? Is that putting their money where their mouth is? Or are they allowed to just be really educated and credentialed reporters and observers? Let's see. So then I thought this was a cool poster or a picture where somebody's standing here and they got the choice to be selfish or selfless. And then it says grassroots, if anything, especially, let's see, it says grassroots, if anything, especially considering the controversy surrounding certain mainstream orgs, mega funded NPOs. Now, folks need to be more proactive in recognizing the efforts of legit grassroots organizations. They're the ones who are really fighting for you. So I don't know what this is in response to. It says, go grassroots, not AstroTurf. So I think AstroTurf was like the term for Bloomberg and the way that he hired the chick who ran the Roundup campaign for Monsanto when they were getting sued for Roundup or whatever it was. He hired her away for more money, or however it went. You know, the 14th richest person on the planet hired the lady that was running the PR campaign for Monsanto to act like she was grassroots, like she had nothing else better to do, was so concerned about everything that she decided to work for the 14th richest person on the planet directly, and somehow that's grassroots. So I think that's what you call AstroTurf when they put on the grassroots facade. But I don't know if this is in reaction to something, so I just brought it up. Got Skips Tactical over, it says Florida. Why do I think she was, well, I guess she's in Florida. Mental health check. So she's posting because it's Mental Health Awareness Day and it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So, you know, we talk about Brooke Cheney every week on the weekly wrap up over on the YouTube side, looking at YouTube. I always like to find people that are focusing on removing barriers to mental health and to offer ways to become aware of bringing it up and incorporating it into conversations. So Skip, an awesome firearms instructor, veteran mom, an activist, and I would call her a ambassador. She's like a paid spokesperson for different companies at the you know, for the industry. So she's taken on lots of hats and growing all the time. If you're following people, Skip is definitely one to follow because she's constantly growing. Like she's constantly on an upward trajectory. It's really cool to watch. So this one, like I say, is a kind of a, I don't know what you call it, infographic, I guess. It says mental health check. Use the emoji, the little heart, my diagram here, to share how you are feeling. I think probably something like what you would get in a hospital if you had, you know, something cut out of you or chopped off or added on or something, and you were healing from that scars in your muscles and flesh. They would go, how does your pain feel today? Point at something here. You know, so our brain and our awareness of whatever mental health, that's all things that can be judged or monitored or can talked about. So this is cool to again create awareness of mental health. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm going to switch gears. I'm listening to a podcast over here, the most recent one from Combat Story, and it's about a guy who is in Delta Force. For people that know, that's a very pointy end of the sphere, one of the higher level units that we have in the military. And after a certain number of door breaches and being close to explosions, the shock or whatever you want to call it, like the sonic disruption of being so close to an explosion is detrimental to mammals. We have solid organs, we have fluids, we have pressures, and then we get damage. We get all kinds of damage, and people don't know about this stuff until they experience it. When they developed all the breaching techniques, they went to the industries like mining and, you know, demolition and stuff, and said, how do we work these explosions and how do we make them the right size to be what we want? Then they took all the safety stuff and threw it away and stood next to them, and it took years before we figured out what the effects are on the humans. So when we think about some of the people that we would think have had some of the most respect from society and done some of the most difficult, some of the positions that take the most training and ability to even get into the position to do, and those folks are figuring out how mental health and awareness of mental health is integral not only to their function but to the greater function of the military as a unit. So there's a lot of value to this mental health concept as a firearms realm or people in the gun community. We're better off if we help each other, if we understand that our brains, our muscles and organs and pieces of us, just like our heart and our guts and our legs and everything. So if something is ailing our brain, we're allowed to talk about it, and we don't have to have weird, trippy things from the olden days when people thought there was magic or something involved, or, you know, vapors or something causing it. So as we know more and more about how to deal with and then treat or live with the different things once they're recognized, we can have better conversations with people who want to take our property and our rights because they have no concept and they're being manipulated. Their ignorance of the issue is being used against them to be used against us, right? So we can eliminate some of these frustrating, what seem like standoffs, by thinking outside the box, getting out of the ambush zone, flanking them, becoming better at having conversations that they're not comfortable with, and changing the tactics. So that's why I keep bringing this stuff up. This is critical for the evolution of strategy. Or maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we could just yell harder about our rights and about my guns and about our property. But whatever. So then we got the NRA throwing a flag, taking credit for whatever. As you can see, I only put this in here so we could talk about it. It's fucking disgusting. 25 states have enacted NRA, constitutional carry. What the fuck is that? Like, no, whatever. So screw the NRA's bullshit position here. Here's Keltec. It's hard to defend Keltec when they're over here. Having NRA already stole their meme, and now they're over here thumbing up this. Come on, man. Is anybody in here going to say, what the fuck? When did you do any of this? No. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not petitioning the NRA here. I'm just, here's the obvious. Here's the real deal. 40,000 people are like, woohoo, yay, yeah, NRA did it. NRA is there to take credit for it. The aircraft carrier is there to support us. The aircraft carriers have a bunch of people on it that want to take credit for being there. None of them steered the ship, right? None of them did nothing but their jobs, but they have to exist and they're going to be there. We can't just make the aircraft carrier disappear when it's convenient for us. So part of the frustration is when they do shit like this, for sure. It's very difficult. I'm not defending them, just trying to be the, the mansplainer in the room. Let's see. Let's go look at the comments because everybody's saying stuff. So I do value the people that show up live, and I just got in a roll here, so I'll go back and read what everybody's saying here. So Woods was the first one to show up. If you'd missed the beginning, which I'm guessing most of you did, there was a very special beginning of the show today because of Woods. Then Gizzard is here. Ron Wayne doing some awesome stuff. Chris, good afternoon, good evening. Let's see. Why even have an internet if no puppy pics? Those people need to put down the 9mm. I can almost guarantee you the person that suggested that, in fact, said that that's good advice, that you shouldn't put puppy pictures on your internet. That was literally said. I'm pretty sure the quote was, don't put dogs on the internet. I'm almost positive that person loves 9mm. Almost positive. Everybody's saying hello to everybody. Smeggy saying, I hate it when the NRA takes credit for the constitutional carry. That via that post we were just talking about. NRA has been around a lot longer, for dang sure. They've been around, well, the longest of all the ones we've got right now. And then welcome to AEDU said that one. Menace anyway. Smeggy said that one. Mike White is saying, damn, I didn't even know you were on. I was watching the Mouse Party. Well, here's the deal. If you never watch the Mouse Party, well, no, you should never do that. That's bad advice. So I don't know. You'll just have to, I tried to do this thing at noon, our time, except whenever I flip, it'll be 11 your time, because I'm going to do this at noon my time. Normally, I deal with all y'all's time zones. With this show, just to be a dick, I'm going to always do it at noon so that y'all have to deal with what it's like being in Arizona. Y'all go, oh, Arizona must be great because you don't have to fiddle with your clocks. What I got to fiddle with is all of you people fiddling with your clocks. So at some point in the year, I'm going to be a month off or a week, an hour off, and that means y'all are going to be an hour off. All my other shows will be normal. This show, out of spite, I do it at noon, just so that y'all realize that Arizona actually is the victim in all this. They probably get that stuff for little or nothing. Well, you're talking about the police? Yeah, I'm sure of it. I'm sure they're buying tons. It's just the principle of the thing. I like getting free loot, but I also insist on the government not paying for anything. So I want it both ways. Okay, so then we can get, thanks everybody for coming. I think I got everything. If I missed something, let me know. I don't know. I'm always shooting to get this show in an hour. We're at 44 minutes. Will I get this show within an hour? You can feel free to comment on that. I'm going to go look at the polls real quick. Because if I did it in an hour, I think I'd be done before the radio shows, right? The poll over here right now is about YouTube and Instagram. They go to the restaurant, and who's going to pay for lunch? Is YouTube going to buy the lunch? Is Instagram going to pay the lunch? Or are they both going to run out on the check? 38% for YouTube buying the lunch, 38% for both of them running out on the check. That got interesting really quick. 15% for Instagram pays for lunch. So pretty much nobody believes Instagram is generous or rich enough to pay for lunch. Who knows what YouTube's eating for lunch? I bet you YouTube's the kind of person that sits down, doesn't even look at anything, and just orders a bunch of stuff, and then assumes the kitchen is just going to make it, because at Google they just have that kind of situation going on. and they got the money. Like if they get like the response like, oh, we don't have that on the menu, then they make a phone call and buy the restaurant, and then all those people are whisked away. I don't know where they go, but then a whole new crew comes in. You know, they all have Google shirts on, and then they make whatever it was that YouTube wanted. I feel like that's how it happens. All right, so going back to Instagram's gun policy, which is firearms policy, did a meme here, and I guess now you can just copyright old Supermans, nobody cares, or just use old Supermans. That's how the internet is now. But it's old-fashioned Superman from the comic book or the newspaper comic days, and he's walking down the street being Superman. He sees that the BATAFE is on fire, so he quickly runs into a phone booth and puts on his Clark Kent stuff and walks on by, whistling while it burns. One of my favorites from them. I mean, I often rag about them showing up our nostril or up people's nostrils or into their eyeballs or weird stuff. But I thought this one was great. Hopefully they don't get sued for it or whatever. I don't know if that's a thing. Can you get sued for memes? All right, so one of the people we follow for a while now is Star Snoop Dogg, and she posted a thing here. I've had a few reach out on other platforms asking why I'm not posting. Here's the thing. She started this as a way of expressing herself without knowing who she was. It was a way of telling her story. Many have become acquaintances and friends through the things that she's involved with. And it's not that she's abandoned this. She's simply not needed it to express herself as often. So over the last years, as she's evolved, that she's had other things to take her time, and she appreciates spending her time with, and posted that here. So I thought that was pretty classy, considering her channel has always been a mix of a private channel with her various like projects, I guess, that evolved into businesses. So doing an update as a professional thing is probably smart, right? And I thought this was done in a pretty classy way. I mean, it's more girly than I would have done it, but it's, I don't know, I figured I'd put it out there. One, to let people know who Star is, what's up, in case they missed it, because she doesn't post very often. And then also just as an example of how to create an update without a bunch of drama or shit, right? So in contrast, and I don't even need to show the stuff that's the opposite of this, but you'd quite often see the opposite of this when people are like, I guess they figure, that there hasn't been enough drama about me on the internet, so let me start posting some weird stuff. And then this would be like the opposite of like a rational or like a calm update, an authentic update. I use that word. Next, we get an authentic gun radio show from Southern California, South Diego gun owners, San Diego gun owners. So they had one of their people from the organization in at the radio show recording. And here you can see in this picture how they're way up in the air. Hopefully they're going to listen to this one day and point a camera out into the air, because come on, man, look at that. Anyway, they did the show, and they were talking about this guy doing tabletops at gun shops program. And I think that's awesome. I mean, it's been around, but the idea of the state level or local level organization is having success and then encouraging it. I think that was just a great thing. You don't hear about stuff like that enough. You hear about, hey, we should do stuff, but what's the stuff and who's we? So this is great. Like getting basically the permission to do it, getting one of them pop-up tray table, or what do they call them? Pop-up, what do they call those things? Like a table like you'd fold up and bring around, and then tablecloth or something to put on there, some stuff to hand out, some papers or something printed up, maybe a keychain or something that you can hand out, or pens or something inexpensive, but something that you can hand to somebody so that they have a reminder. It's not so much that you're hoping that every time they use that pen, they're going to make a donation or something. It's just that you're going to meet somebody who wasn't looking for you at this table. You're going to hopefully have some kind of conversation because something about your stuff that you've got there gets their interest. They have a conversation with you, and they've discovered you. A business card, it's probably useful to have a business card also, but if something like a pen is something that you're going to stick in your pocket or put in a bag, and when you pull it out, it's that kind of reminder. Oh, I had that conversation. Now I can go look on the internet and follow through on joining the group or being part of the thing or whatever the conversation evolved into. So anyway, I just think that's really cool, having something that people can do that's in real life, literally grassroots, not the Bloomberg version of it. And what it gets accomplished by having a bunch of people go to gun shops. The people who go to man those tables or staff those tables are going to gain experience with their community, the people that would show up at that shop. If they did it at a few shops, they'd start to see the trends, or they'd start to see the traffic flow. They did that at a gun show once in a while. They might even find that there's an opportunity to sell some merch or something to make it, to fund the potential of doing it even more. Or if you didn't want to take it in that direction, it could literally be something that doesn't grow in size, but grows in interest and in depth. So that if you set up at just the same shop that's local to you, because that's all you can really realistically do, or that's all you're interested in doing, then you set up at that shop. And if they don't mind, then you become a fixture of that shop, another element of that shop, and you bring 2A into the industry and you merge that in a way that, if that was replicated, where would we be? If people knew they could go to their gun shop to get intel and insight as to what's happening and politically and as far as maintaining and fighting back for our rights, would we be better off? I don't see any national level organizations attempting something like that often, as everybody complains about. The NRA or somebody will come along and snag an idea, hork it off you. So if that's something that you're interested in pursuing, let's talk, because I think that's an awesome, actual, realistic that can be accomplished. Even if you only did it once, you'd accomplish much. But if you did it on any kind of regular basis, any kind of consistency, well, I can tell you, every activist I know and myself, it happened because of awareness. So, how do we engage to the next? We can keep dreaming that we're going to find some marketing thing that's going to reach them, or we can just do stuff and eventually learn how to do it, right? Like get out there and get into the mix, and you figure it out real quick. Oh, if I set up at this gun shop, it works. And if I set up at that gun shop, it doesn't work. What do I have to do different at that gun shop? Oh, okay, now I've learned what works at this gun shop that wasn't working. Now I go to a third shop and I get a new thing, So now you have the ability to bring that to the conversation. And now people who are shy about doing it or apprehensive can hear all your combat stories about how you set up your table and all the successes and whatever failures they can dodge. Yeah, whole nother level, whole nother thing. And maybe that becomes an element that you're a rep for the larger organizations. And now you've created value and resource for those organizations that you value. Be part of it, value your potential. And if you can't, maybe support in some way the people that are willing or are. All right, so speaking of supporting, this is a place that'll pay you money to go work there. 88 Tactical. That's pretty cool. And yeah, cooks, dishwashers, food runners, hosts, and range safety officers. That's an interesting mix. So if you're interested, I think this is in Virginia. Why is this taking so long? M13 is the conversation we had a couple of weeks back with the gunsmith in Las Vegas. And this is, they took some guns to the Kalash Bash, one of the big events that happen in this case, for the Kalashnikov community. Happens in Texas, and it goes on for a couple of days with a bunch of competitions and just playing fun at the range for a couple of days. It's evolved into quite an elaborate set of events that all happen at the same time. And they shot this thing a lot. So he's showing you what 1,500 rounds did, or what 1,500 rounds looks like on the inside of the muzzle device for the AK-12. So the AK-47 turned into the AKM, and that turned into the AK-74. Then there was a bunch of numbers in the hundreds. They call those the Century series. Those are all black AKs with the black furnitures and folding stocks. That's the most modern ones. And then when they decided to give up on the Kalashnikovs, finally, they went to the AK-12, and that, I mean, kind of looks like an AK, but for the most part, it's a different gun. And I believe it's the one that shoots 2 rounds kind of almost simultaneously. It uses the recoil from the one to shoot the second, so that it deals with muzzle rise that way or something. But used to be a difficult gun to find in the U.S. I guess I haven't been paying that much attention, but I have seen more than a couple around. So the parts must have gotten over here, and then these creative and able gunsmiths have put the missing parts back together to make them into semi-automatic versions of them. So with most of the short Kalashnikovs, which have a piston blowback where most of the gas has to come up and interact with a piston way up front by the gas block, you have issues with pressure. You need a certain amount of pressure up front of that gas block hole in order for that action to take place, in order for that pressure to have time to go up there and create enough pressure to push that piston and everything back. There's a lot of weight on an AK carrier and bolt and pulling the old metal case out of a chamber and everything. So in order to make sure that there's pressure going up through the gas block, they have muzzle devices that create back pressure. And that's why these muzzle devices look the way they do. They look like big fat suppressors or something. They have nothing to do with sound. It has to do with replicating the amount of pressure a longer barrel would provide for that gas piston. So what you end up with is a whole bunch of dirt and gook out of the expanding gases from the cartridge going off, and a lot of lead and copper that's being shredded off of the projectile as it goes down the barrel, and some kind of gross mix of all the cleaners and everything else toxic that's in there. All that stuff gets blown out and into this like expansion chamber, and the expansion chamber is sort of a place for that back pressure to be created. It sort of creates a dwell or a lag for the mechanism to operate. So anyway, when you shoot 1,500 rounds through, this is the amount of cake and buildup you get up there. And then a little explanation of how an AK works. Then we got Ginny Thrasher, who is one of the competition shooters that I follow. She does a really good job of explaining things and doing or like presenting what could be kind of difficult for sure, and sometimes boring if you're not into it, like shooting stuff, but for people who are getting into it, who are still interested in becoming aware of all the complicated stuff and things from travel and life on the road to growing up and being a shooter in the United States and, you know, having this interest, and then just plain old having fun on the internet. She collaborates with other shooters and other channels. Just really a good channel. And again, thinking of the girls out there that are going to have girls like Ginny Thrasher to look up to as examples, as role models. Back in the day, there was like 4 or 5 Olympic shooters that they could look up to, maybe Mikulik or somebody who was shooting professionally, a couple other professional lady shooters. But they didn't go around having social media platforms that they could share how cool they are or what they're doing or how nerdy they are or whatever it is that is happening over here. So Ginny did some stickers, and she's talking about, well, that these are coming up. I might have posted some other pictures where she had more pictures of them, but you know, just again, using a non-perishable way to get your logo out there, using stickers. Think about magnets, think about patches, things that ship easily, that people will typically be proud of. So they're going to stick it on something, or they're going to put it somewhere where it can be seen. So it's great marketing, and she's helping shooters understand that they have presence, especially now with the internet, and to kind of brand their stuff. And it's just cool. I like to see people helping each other out and bringing each other up. So let's see, Gun Policy posting about this. Let's see, if you want to fund the programs they plan to use against you, or they want you to fund the programs they plan to use against you. They want you to fund the ATF Gun Control Slush Fund. They want you to be priced out of reliable self-defense options. Demand your representatives reject HR 8957. So I'll probably go back and add the number to the senators. I usually put it on the Ask Gun Questions title usually. So I'm going to grab it real quick. You can call your senator at the number 202-224-3121. And in addition to a persistent, consistent call to let them know your opinion on the assault weapons ban, I'm going to encourage you to additionally encourage your representative to reject HR 8957. So the senators are for the assault weapons ban. Let's see, about the assault weapons ban. And then, of course, you can call your representatives in the House about this HR 8957. Same phone number. You can use that same phone number. It'll connect you to both. So it's 202-224-3121. But anyway, this slush fund, which is bullshit, of course, is the increase in excise tax on firearms and ammo. So there's like $100 excise tax already. They're increasing that, or they want to. They want to increase the NFA transfer tax, which of course everybody always thinks about, talks about for years now. They want to include frames and receivers as taxable firearms so that the excise tax would apply to the portions of a gun instead of the completed gun. That's a big deal. Allocate funding to anti-firearms research, which is when they suggest that the CDC is blocked from doing research. The CDC was found to be funding, government funding, biased, quote unquote, research. And when they were found out, they were simply fined for the amount of money that it cost them to waste that time. And they were told not to spend money on that anymore. So they run around saying that they're excluded from doing research, when in reality they're excluded only from doing biased research. So in this bullshit fake suggestion here, they want to remove that bind or remove that handcuff they have so that they can go back to doing their bad research. And it's bad research, but it means that they're wasting tax money to waste time so that our research has to battle it, and they confuse the issue. They win when they cause confusion. They don't want more awareness. They want less, or they want more confusion. And then finally make funds available to the ATF. So they want to increase all these funds and then give it all to the ATF, not recognizing that the number of, or the increased number of NFA items goes into the general fund, and anything they would want to do to the NFA, or if anything they want to do the ATF, I should say, could be funded out of that if they really wanted. Instead, they want to add more taxes and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, obviously we want them to have hands off of everything. We certainly don't want them to add more. So HR 8957, if you've got a list of HRs you're against, I would suggest adding that one to it. So I was just minding my business one day, and I saw this post. Chad from Black Bottom Gun Club will be a panelist on the University of Chicago this evening discussing America's unique relationship with firearms. I registered for the link and found out that all you need to do is watch their YouTube channel, so I won't do that again. But it was interesting. So they had Chad on from a gun club in Detroit, or I shouldn't say Detroit, Michigan. I don't know if it's in Detroit or not. And then some guy who used to be in the gun industry. He worked for Kimber, I think, and then now he works for Bloomberg. So he's the anti-gun one. And then there's this weird lawyer, scientist or something, or lawyer historian that insisted on bringing up weird facts from the past awkwardly. So I don't know which side she was on. If she was on our side, she did it poorly, and she might as well have been on the other side. If she was on the other side, she did a good job of making it really confusing and not really saying anything effectively. And then the host, I think she thinks she's pro-gun, but she's super anti-gun. So it was a really weird thing to experience. I don't know. Sometimes you do take one for the team. Watching that was taking one for the team. Smeggy was out there. I don't know if he has a better opinion of it, but I'm not going to recommend you go watch it. It is interesting every once in a while to see what's being said on the other side, in the middle. I don't know. They definitely would have said that was a completely impartial conversation from both sides of the aisle, but it was, well, whatever. If you do watch it, let's have a conversation about it. I know we kind of had a short conversation about it because other stuff was piling up, but I'm sure we could all have a deeper conversation on it if you wanted. I thought Colion Noir did an interesting little skit thing here, and I don't know if it's brand new. I'm going to wait for it to restart here, so I'll start the audio. So I don't know if it's brand new or if he posted this one before. I know he's done stuff like this in the past, but what do you think? Was this good? or was this not good? Whenever it ends here, I'll start the audio. And then what do you consider yourself in the mix? I don't know when it's going to start. What I'll try to do is go over here, and if I go straight to it, it should just start. Let's see if that works.
But the problem is, it's these Rambo AR-15 wielding yahoos who think they need a 100-round clip to kill a devil. First, it's a magazine, not a clip. The Second Amendment is about protecting your life and the preservation of a free state. You're right. The second isn't about hunting. But can we all agree that you tactical, barrel-rolling, end-of-days fantasizers aren't exactly doing the right any justice? You're the one to talk. You think running around like a man-child with a gun in your hand playing games is doing anything far right? I mean, at least he uses his gun for a purpose. How many times can you clean a gun that you've never shot? We live in a civilized society. You should appreciate guns for the beautiful relics that they are. It's about hunting. They spend more ammo than anybody else at this table. You're useless. You're useless. You're missing the point. All of you are missing the point. To go out there and be a part of nature. Hunter, you probably shoot one round per year. Protect yourself. I'll tell you what the problem is.
I thought it was pretty good. So I don't know where he went with that. If that was the beginning of a video, if somebody knows, let me know. But I mean, it certainly illustrates the frustration. Unfortunately, you know, we haven't solved that. We will. I'm trying to adjust my microphone here. Let's see. Kingpin is saying, spent about 2 hours helping a nice young lady learn pistols and pistol shooting today. Right on. Smeggy is saying, it was interesting to see how other people think about 2A. Oh, you're talking about that conversation. From the students, maybe, I guess. And then Smeggy's also saying, I like to understand how people think. My guess is those people think they are being reasonable, but they really are being anti. But in reality, they're being anti. I don't know how I'd say that. Let's see, the point I gained from this is most people are whatever, the topic doesn't matter. What do you mean? Oh, pull a poop. The topic doesn't matter? I guess so. I mean, it's not unique to the gun community that people who are in a realm, like think about motorcycles, think about guitars, think about people who cook. I don't know, people who go to the bank. Like, you know, we do a lot of things together that aren't in unison. But in this case, I don't even know. Here's a question. I'm changing the poll right now. So we're an hour into this. I'm going to quickly go see if I'm corking somebody. If I am, I'm not really going to care, but I'm going to at least acknowledge if I'm corking somebody. I ain't, so I'm going to keep going. Oh, Clover's got Robin Sandoval coming up in a couple of days, it looks like. But I'm not corking anybody. All right, so ending the poll. So real quick, YouTube and Instagram meet at a restaurant. Who pays for lunch? 40% of people who responded to this, not me, because I have ultimate respect for both of these overlords. 40% of the people suggest that they would both run out on the check. 33% said YouTube buys the lunch. 13% said Instagram buys the lunch. I forgot what I was going to change the poll to. Dang it. What was I going to change the poll to? Well, I got distracted. Eating popcorn. Too much for me. I lost it. What was I going to change the poll to? Dang it. I'll go back. It was something about Colion Noir's thing, right? Okay, so this is that thing again about the drunken sailor. I just think it's funny when somebody goes, because a drunken sailor only can spend their own money. I don't think anybody says like they spend like a drunken sailor anymore. Let's see. So the next one is from FPC again. You know, FPC barely makes $1 million a year. I think was what it was. And the other organizations are making something like $10 million a year, except for the NRA, $245 million a year. So people that suggest you can just use any 3-letter organization, come on. Come on, look at how much work though FPC is doing with literally the least amount of resources than any of them. I don't know what size of the organizations, like how big they are, but I can only assume they're smaller too. Hey, New Jersey, we wanted to write a great caption, but those teeth got us distracted. So now they're making fun of the fact that they're showing us all up in somebody's gross mouth and shit. Like, I don't even want to look at these pictures, but then they make us. So, I don't know. Like I say, I think it's not good. But anyway, New Jersey residents, they got a bunch. What do you know? New Jersey residents are having infringements. One of the ways that they keep us at odds is by constantly wailing on some of us, while the rest of us, what are we supposed to do about it until we figure out a way to help prevent this? Because we're not going to be able to stop it, but if we can help prevent it by acting in unison or collaboration, or maybe we run around like a bunch of spazzes more, but whatever, until we come up with something, they're going to continue to create rifts by wailing on some of us. Some of us ain't going to care. And then there's those people in the middle who are like, well, gosh, I have to either not care or, what am I supposed to do? So it creates rifts by just the fact that they're doing it. And there's nothing we can do about it. So I'm just illustrating it here. But I appreciate Gun Policy or FPC to continue to post these updates. Like, I just wish they wouldn't show us people's eyeballs and teeth. So they have 3 things going right now for New Jersey. 3 bills going through their through the Congress, requires mandatory home inspections and psychological evaluations, a response to that increases the number of sensitive places, basically what New York just got in trouble for, and then increasing the penalty for 3D printing a ghost gun or sharing the files. So it really goes not just replicating what other places have done, but even stepping a little bit more. We got 2 things. You got the ooze that's going to happen if you don't keep scraping the ooze or have a decent barrier to the ooze, right? The ooze is just going to spread, just like a mold or a fungus or something. I don't like to put a bad word on mold and fungus because those can be useful. They can be super beneficial and healthy and whatnot. But they, like a mold, politicians are going to just continue to seep. But you can also spray some kind of like antiseptic around, which keeps them away, right? So you can create barriers, but you can also put antiseptic out there. The antiseptic is awareness. We take away their ability to use this crap. We do have people that are working towards this, but let's look backwards at this. 3D printing and ghost guns, we got a lot of people upset about their property or our rights, but there's not that many people educating. So there's potential there. There's a lot of folks that are into 3D printing and might not be into guns, but might see it as a challenge, might see it as a way to express their rights. The people that we do have in 3D printing, I'm guessing most people wouldn't want as our cheerleaders or our figurehead, or like our people standing out there. They're kids, they're just doing their thing and they're having fun. They're kind of like skateboarders. So they're doing cool stuff, but they're kind of like skateboarders. You wouldn't want them putting on a tie and standing there. They wouldn't be what most people want representing them. So that's an opportunity. So there's lots of businesses, there's lots of industry that depend on or utilize 3D printing. We have communities of people that want to do stuff, want to get involved. 3D printing campaigns are freaking ripe. There's so many 3D printers out there. There are so many interested people in being part of something that this penalty for 3D printers is an opportunity. If they're going to poke us somewhere, we can get stronger and learn from that attack. The response to increases the number of sensitive places. There's got to be some ways that we can start dealing with that. For example, empowering shops that are pro-gun to put up signs that say, we don't infringe on your rights, or something positive, right? So that now there's a presence of a pro-gun sign places. And if somebody's indifferent, they can put up a pro-gun sign and say, we don't infringe on your rights, right? We can have that conversation. It's against, you're giving activists, people that want to do something, an objective, something that they can participate in and be appreciative of as they have successes, as they're able to win restaurant chains and businesses and movie theaters, to say, we're not a victim zone, right? Some kind of a cool message or whatever appropriate message, let's say, for the region or the culture or the location, or the circumstances, right? As you know, what, let's share some of those successes and challenge people to work towards those. So this Bruin response to make more sensitive places, we can observe really loud or observe in a flashy way, or we can challenge their ability to use those against us by taking away the ignorance and the non-awareness that. And then lastly, the idea of having mandatory home inspections and psychological evaluations that marginalizes people who have mental health issues. We already know that firefighters and law enforcement, miners, people that work with construction, all deal with traumatic brain injuries. And you're going to suggest that when someone is injured and has a situation that hinders their ability, that they're somehow now corrupt, or they're somehow more apt to be evil. That's so easy to challenge. So we can be upset about this, and we can champion the people that get upset every time we're told these things, or we can use these as catalysts to create new campaigns, organizations, projects, and even channels or organizations to challenge or to defend against, that be that antiseptic to their creep. Right. So again, looking up their nose, looking at his gross teeth or whatever, it's kind of pathetic, but whatever. We get what we get, right? Do we have to accept it? Can we make videos like this and say, fuck it, why do we have to deal with this shit? Let's keep moving, right? So let's keep moving, right? Pets for Vets, an awesome organization that does awesome things. 10 out of 10 days of gratitude. They want a huge thanks to all of the sponsors and donors who make it possible for them to help so many of our nation's veterans and homeless animals find therapeutic love and companionship with one another. So they take animals that are not having a great time with veterans that ain't having a great time, and you take those two together, and then they have a great time, and every once in a while they post good pictures of it. Here's the Army Marksmanship Unit. So one of the things I follow is the Army Marksmanship Unit. This is pretty cool. So it gives you a pretty quick and effective experience of some of the IDPA type competitions out there. So this is Staff Sergeant something who recently earned the Productive Division Champion at the Pan American Handgun Championships and the International Practical Shooting Confederation National Championships. So that might be IPSC. It's all about the combination of speed and accuracy, and this soldier accomplished that mission. So this is one of the ways that a Army is trying to get people joined by showing the cool stuff that can happen if you're in the Army or whatever. Not like everybody does this, of course. But anyway, it also kind of shows what, well, in my experience, this would be more like, well, I guess it is IPSC in the way that he's running all around. But the way that he's like holding onto a cord here and having to do stuff. And I think when you let go of the cord is when those doors fell down. And in this case, holstered pistol, hands in the water, like if you were washing something or doing something. Now you come up out of the water with your hands wet and have to draw and engage. Those are IDPA type of things where you're doing all kinds of stuff, sensory overload, doing stuff in austere, weird positions. He's jumping over or going over like a teeter-totter thing. Those are the kind of things that I find interesting about this kind of competitive shooting. IPSC makes it go fast, and they can use race guns. So you get more people that are going to game it. They're going to run through the stage a few times. They're going to figure out this is where I need to place my step in order to do my mag change, which is fine because then you end up, having a different type of competition. But anyway, I think this one explained a lot. Plus, it's Army Marksmanship Unit. So I was never in it, but I had a friend that was in it. If you've got somebody going into the Army and they like shooting, let them know that there's the Army Marksmanship Unit. Unless it's changed, they go, oh, you're in it? You want to be in it? Here's 1911 and all the ammo you want. Go for it. Or here's an M16 and all the ammo you want. Go for it. Because not that many people know about it or go into it. And then they got to find out if you're good or not. So they make you, you need to shoot a lot of ammo. If I'm wrong, let me know. But back in the day, that was like a life hack for the Army. Go into the Marksmanship Unit. It's not like you have to go into it. You just get extra ammo and a gun. And they let you shoot whenever you want. So it's like having an extra club that you're the only member of, and the Army pays for the ammo. Like I say, if you know somebody that's young and going in, give them that hint. Let's see. I think that pointing out the hypocrisy is a very good tool, showing normal people that the laws and lawmakers are not telling the truth. Without mold, how would we cast our own bullets? That's a good point. Although we shouldn't be able to do that legally. It's basically 80% bullets. That's what I feel like. If we had a serial number on there and maybe some sort of UPC code and a QRC code and maybe your phone number or social security number completely spelled out, maybe at that point I would be okay with it. Maybe if the police and all law enforcement said it was okay. Let's see. Kingpin is saying I have to record it, but in Maryland we have a pet rescue that is open about not being pro 2A. I mean, in other words, they're anti-gun. That's lame. So it's good to know that there's good ones. Gun people are the best pet people, for sure. Let's see. So then one of the museums I found in my travels, I've never been here, but I found it on my Instagram travels, I should say, is this one called the Armored Cav Collection. This week's big news is U.S. tank development was the reveal of the General Dynamics Land Systems Abrams X, Abrams 10. I don't know what it is, but the next generation technology demonstrator based on the M1 Abrams main battle tank. Of its various features, the biggest departure from the current Abrams is its unmanned auto-loading turret with the crew located in the front of the hull. So I guess the dudes hang out up here. Oh, excuse me, the people hang out up here. This is not the first Abrams to feature such a layout. However, in the 1980s, the U.S. Army built a modified M1 chassis with an unmanned turret called the Block 3, blah, 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 something, something, 40,000 rounds without malfunction. Evaluation continued until the 1990s when the program was stopped due to Cold War cutbacks. So anyway, I thought it was kind of neat because, I don't know, you don't see very many tanks. Plus, it's an opportunity for me to talk about one time I almost got run over by an M1. They go super fast. Like, however you think the tank can go, I mean, this one will probably go faster. But you see this giant tank. They're way bigger than regular tanks. Like all the tanks I grew up on, or when I grew up, you could climb on tanks and stuff. I've climbed on a lot of tanks, so I knew what it was like climbing on a tank. And when you're climbing on a giant tank, you know how heavy those things are. You can just tell how much metal you're climbing on. These things are way bigger, and I could never have imagined how fast these things can haul ass. And we were walking along, and we were going from like here to here, and there was these, I don't know, like roads, I guess. You know, technically they're not paved or nothing, they're for tanks. But there's just these like cuts in the forest, and I think the tanks just go where they want, and they create the roads, and then sometimes they drive down the same things. And we're kind of going across that. And I guess nobody told us to worry about tanks, and they never told them. They weren't worried about us, I guess. Anyhow, we almost stepped out in front of and you don't hear it coming. It was going so freaking fast. Anyway, I really respect them. I would never want to go near one because I've also remember watching a thing in went back in the day, when you'd go in, you'd have to sit around and wait a lot. So they would show you movies and films actually back in the day. And they said that the lifespan of a tank crew once war is declared is 30 seconds because both of us target every tank on the battlefield. And that's one of the first things we do is take out every other tank, at least back at that time in the Cold War in the late 80s. So I was like, oh, okay, thanks. They might as well put up an ad to not be a tank driver unless you just like really were sure we weren't going to go to that kind of button pushing. Anyhow, M1's pretty neat. Locked and Loaded, Latina Locked and Loaded posted this thing about AOC getting yelled at. So I don't watch enough news. Pretty much the Instagram posts and a couple of YouTubers is where I find, some of this kind of stuff. So is this been going around? And I guess that's my question. Has this been going around? Is this a big news, or is this not such a big thing? Where some guys were yelling at her for being part of the system and stuff. Let's see. So then Guns for Everyone was doing a business trip or something. Just like to take the chance to plug them. Doing free concealed carry classes in Colorado for a long time. Doing different strategies in order to accomplish that with the consistent goal of reducing the barrier to entry for concealed carry. So a lot of people think, yeah, right on, we got concealed carry, until you get constitutional carry where the barriers are completely removed. You've still got people that either can't afford, which, we all know anybody can afford anything, but being able to afford it when you're not sure what it even is a lot harder than affording it when I need that and I got to get it. I'm going to make it happen, right? Anybody can afford that. But no matter what the cost is, if you're hesitant in the first place, then that cost, any cost, is a barrier to you experiencing it, right? They might have something like, come enjoy the class and then pay for it. But that's still, you've got a barrier, even if it's a slight barrier. For some people, that's a big barrier. So removing that barrier and allowing people to experience a real CCW class and get their CCW credential at no cost, I think is it's one of the reasons I'll continue to champion. It's great. I'd like to see more organizations take that concept on and championing it. There was an organization in Texas during 13, before everybody kind of got together and started having conversations, in my realm at least. Well, I'm pretty sure at all. And I forget what it was called, but it was something to the effect of, we're going to buy a shotgun for anybody who can't afford one. And they gave away, I forget how many, if it was dozens or something. And it was mostly to single moms. And they would, I think the deal was they would ask them, are you familiar? What do you have in mind? And then get them whatever it was that they were comfortable or was most appropriate for what it was, so that they could defend themselves with a shotgun. And not very expensive to get somebody a shotgun, a single barrel shotgun, if it's something that's going to empower them and give them ability. Again, not everything's going to work for everything, but I like these concepts that are not mainstream and are successful. It's great to see stuff that we have for examples of successes. Speaking of examples of success, here's Tony again posting about this was, I think, the night of the shoot. So he does a pretty good job of posting about it. Of course, I mansplain to him every Saturday about how he should do it different, but he's got a great project going, bringing people into the gun community and shooting guns if they want to. Next is Second Amendment Range. I'm trying to remember. I think this one's out in Pahrump, Nevada. I haven't been to it. I think I've just been watching their development, and I'm curious because I have been to Pahrump a few times. But I'd like to get out there and check it out because I've seen the shop get built. Anyway, they're working with Silencer Shop, which is another interesting organization. And it's sort of, what do you call this? Like an infographic, a step-by-step on how to get your first suppressor. So I'm always ragging on GOA for doing lame, what are those things called? PowerPoints and stuff, and posting those on Instagram. I would consider this an effective use of merging words that you have to have with imagery that gets the point across and layout that makes it good makes it good. So I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but I think this is an excellent example of infographic-y, or like infographicon, or whatever the word of infographicing would be. But I like it. They got their branding right where you need it. No craziness going on. Yeah, I like it. Guns for Everyone got their chat back. I also went and chatted with them about how they got it back. So appreciate the intel. I don't know if anybody from Guns for Everyone's watching, but much appreciated. And we'll be passing that along to people that need it. Hopefully it'll work for others. I posted this. VaneComp is a pretty cool company, and I like posting their stuff, but I thought this was fake. I thought this was computer generated at first. And then it made me think, oh, I should make a computer generated 1897 shotgun, because it's one of my favorite shotguns. So what would you think if you had an if you already have an 1897? I don't want to assume that you don't have an 1897. Most of us already have an 1897, I should say. So would you thread the barrel of your 1897? And if so, would you accommodate a Silencer Co. shotgun suppressor on there? Is that something you'd contemplate and or aspire to? They have a non-concentric suppressor, so it's sort of cylinder. No, it's more of a, what would you call that? It's like a squished cylinder shape, and you shoot through the top of it. The bottom of it is where all the baffles make the sound go up and down, and it really blends in like an aggressive like shape with a shotgun like that. I'm sure some people wouldn't dig it, but keep in mind it's almost empty aluminum up there. So while it looks big, it's really not adding too much bulk, but it is adding like a foot of length to an already well, it's about an 18.5-inch shotgun, but still, that's adding a very long shotgun there. But quiet. You can slam fire that shotgun, by the way. Gun control is sexist. Though I am happy for my student, this is a real effect of gun control. Good people at a government-imposed disadvantage compared to victimizers. This is from Triggerology over in California. So I think he got a text from somebody who says, hey, guess what? I finally got the call today. I passed all my background and I got approved to get my carry license. It only took them 6 months. My class is scheduled for January 14th, and this came in this week. So took them 6 months to approve their license, to get their CCW. Now they have to take the class, and that's scheduled in January. So it's an accomplishment, and it's nice to see the water, the dams breaking, or whatever the word would be. But let's not act like it went from zero to hero. They're dealing with stuff still in these states that are, changing. So a little bit of good and a little bit of we always got work to do. Colion Noir posting this thing about hunting. So we posted other thing we were looking at, and now I thought this was a cool thing too, because I've been watching this guy since he's been around, I think. I don't really, but at least since the NRA was posting his stuff. And a lot of people hate him, and I always thought it was an interesting piece of the community to follow, because at first it was because he was one of the 3 or 4 people that the big NRA machine was backing, and listening to their messaging, we had to. It was, a factor. So after all that fell apart and whatever happened, I don't know if the other people stuck around, but this Leon's the only one I kept following. And he probably could have gone about 100 different ways from where he was at, being a lawyer and having the, level of achievement that he had. But then the way that he went has been interesting for sure. And then now, if you've been following who this is, you understand that he's somebody who, from what I understand, went to school and then became interested in guns. So he didn't get into guns until he was an adult. And then as I don't know if he's rich or not, but he's definitely able to buy whatever he wants. Plus he's in the industry. He probably can get whatever he wants if he needed it. He's a lawyer, so he's not incapable of, figuring out how to have arrangements with companies or whatever. But in spite of whatever you want to think of how he's done his journey or whatever, he's still on a journey, and he's still an adult who bought guns. Unless I'm wrong, he bought his guns as an adult, so he's effectively starting this whole thing. And here he is getting into hunting. So we've got a whole bunch of new gun owners, and I keep bringing it up. Those new gun owners are either going to never buy a gun again, sell the one they got, or do nothing, or everybody I'm talking to took this route. You started buying other guns. And then you were like, oh, wow. And then you bought another one. And you're like, oh, snap. It's just like shoes. If I want to go walk around in the mud, I want different shoes than if I want to go dancing. And if I'm going to have different shoes than if I want to go walk around, in the hospital or something. So, you're going to have different guns for different things. So if you get comfortable with guns, you look around and go, oh, what's that all about? And, oh, I like that enough that I'm going to go buy another gun to do that. And now you got 3 guns and 4 guns and 7 guns. Well, at some point, you're going to start doing some of these things and not just buy the tools to do it. And that's a whole nother hurdle. And not that many people go over that hurdle. We all know that. But the people that do go into it at different levels and stuff. And we get to watch this in some of these folks that are doing all this online in front of everybody. Everybody's doing it for their own reasons. And the people that are doing it with fame in the equation, one of the levels of that, one of the perspectives on it is, we get to watch their evolution or whatever. So again, I don't know one, are you into hunting? 2, how did you get into hunting? Again, did you just grow up hunting? A lot of people just grew up hunting. It was just part of what you did. So just like fishing, or just like riding a bike, I don't know, just like some stuff that people did since they were kids. Some people had to make the decision as an adult, I'm going to get into this. That's a whole nother level of decision, taking a leap, right? Because you know all the stuff you don't know. As a kid, you just know that, hey, I'm going fishing today. You don't know about all the stuff you don't know about fishing. You get into fishing and you're just a fisherman. You never not been into fishing. So anyway, it's just interesting to watch this. And how many of the new shooters that we're using Colion as an example as an adult who buys a gun, and we know that millions of them just happened in the last few years. Are they going to be shooting? Are they going to be going hunting? What is that going to do? What's that going to do? Like, we now have a decrease in the number of hunters. disconnected. I'm being taken off air because I'm getting too real. Whenever I get too real, YouTube desperately tries to take me off the air. But anyway, we got a lot of concern in the hunting community, the hunting realm, of we need more hunters. So I'm sure we're going to see more hunters. And what's the experience they're going to be? When we got 2022, everybody's used to going online and finding their information that way rather than what Grandpa taught me. It's interesting. A lot of potential there. So this picture, it blew me away. There's so much going on in this picture. And then, of course, is it paid for by Leupold? Do you say Leopold? And does that matter? You know what I'm saying? There's so much to this. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're just watching stuff and observing, you're not even taking in the whole internet. There's a lot of stuff going on. This is one of my favorite things. I think this one wins the week. So I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to open it up in a new window so I don't get all mixed up. And I'm going to go find it and let it just play.
Listen, if you're one of these people who love to virtue signal about ending gun violence, but you are unwilling to step into the hood and tell the Vatos, the Crips, the Bloods, the cartels, or the mafia to give up their guns to you, spare me the bullshit. I'd rather invest my time in encouraging good people to get armed and get trained so they can successfully defend themselves from any of these crooks that attempt to victimize them wherever they're at. So spare me the bullshit about ending gun violence, because these people operate outside of the law. So what makes you think that even more laws are going to do anything about curbing gun violence? Have a good day.
Geography is pretty good. And now it's one of the most succinct ways of getting it across. Probably the bullshit part will make some people whatever. But again, I like listening to people who get it across quickly, because then you add that to your toolbox. So Faster, posting this one, which I kind of dig, getting the beams of light coming through in the morning, seeing a range. What do you think of ranges that point east? I think it's a sucker bet. I think that wasn't thought out by a shooter. I think that was developed by an architect who probably never shot a handgun. If it's a necessity of the range, I'll give them a pass. But here's the thing. There's obviously a tree in this picture. So if this was a necessity, then why isn't there a screen of trees here? Because to me, this says you can't shoot early in the morning because you're going to have sun blasting in your eyes. I mean, unless for some reason you want to train with sun blasting in your eyes every single morning, or at least every morning that the sun's out. I like ranges pointing north, period. And I think that shouldn't be a law. It should just be the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Ranges should always point north. Then you can use them all day long. If they point east, you can't use them in the morning. If they point west, you can't use them at night. And if they point south, come on, I live in the desert. Why the hell would you want to point south? There is a couple of ranges that point south into Mexico. Kind of fun, just saying. But, well, I mean, like a mile away, but there's the only ones that point south. And I don't like them. They're pointing south, you get sun in your eyes all day long. So you can't see your targets. There's shade, shade on your targets all day long. Anyway, that was just Faster Saves Lives posting a cool picture, and I thought it was cool. It's always, when I see something like this, I think of those days when you show up, you've got all your stuff, fresh thing of targets. People are waking up. Usually by the time you get to the range, you got blood flowing. You're there. But, people are kind of getting their stuff together. And then you got a full day ahead of you. Looking at this, looks like nice, comfortable weather. You're going to get a whole bunch of instruction, whole bunch of time on the clock right here. Pretty neat. Thinking of all the atmospherics. Is that the way to say it? Like all the stuff going on. Pretty neat. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of why can't I think of the word? A lot of sensory input when you're out at the range, at an outdoor range. Oh, let's see, am I missing anything good? So remember that sticker from Ginny Thrasher? Here's probably where they got that sticker from. Because when they're sitting in their leather suits or whatever, they kind of lock into that standing position. Okay, so I'm going to have to go way back here. Hello from Second Shift. Good evening. Good afternoon. All right, so I have 10 of those shotguns. Messed them up real good. What are you talking about? I would not touch a vintage gun. Oh, you're talking about that 1876 or 18 whatever shotgun. I don't watch his gun reviews. That's pretty much right on with 2A. Oh, you're talking about Colion Noir? Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I don't like his gun reviews either because he plays stupid 9mm carbines and dumb guns with a bunch of goop on them that I don't like. But everybody can like whatever they want, you know. It's like liking cars. I don't like almost any car. I like cop cars, but I like vans and trucks and stuff. I would love to hunt. I just don't want to shoot anything. Oh, dude, here's the deal. You could totally go hunting with people. Here's why. 1, you get to go out with your friends camping. Done. You get to bring guns with you. Nobody can say nothing. Done. You don't even have to go shooting because who cares? And then 3, take a camera with you and you can go hunting for pictures. And then everybody's awesome. Everybody's like, oh, that's awesome. You got pictures and stuff. Then if somebody gets something who you're going with, you got pictures, you got a camera, you can take pictures of their, you know, what's going on or whatever. And like I was saying with the before with making archives every once in a while of your channel development, I can't tell you if you go out hunting on a regular basis, you go out fishing on a regular basis, pictures that we took back in the day with our digital cameras still exist. We can still look at those pictures and remember camping and hunting and fishing trips from the 90s. So definitely take cameras out and take pictures. Sharing them on the internet is up to you, but there's nothing wrong with sharing pictures that don't, you know, just kind of generic pictures of you out hunting or whatever. But anyway, yeah, you could definitely go hunting without shooting nothing. Nobody even cares. And if they, I don't know where you're all at, back here, or out here, if you go hunting and you get an elk in the middle of nowhere, everybody appreciates the other people there. Like you can definitely help out, you know? So you don't need to be shooting nothing at all. But on the other hand, get a permit or a permit and a tag and be willing to hunt. You can change your mind. There's nothing wrong. You can go out there and not want to hunt, but have a tag and a thing. And if you decide to change your mind and hunt, you can leave yourself that option. Worst that happens is you're paying your state Game and Fish a little extra couple of bucks that they don't need or they didn't use, or I mean, who cares? You're paying them the thing and it's worth it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely worth going on a hunt. Let's see. Talking about Colion again. I agree with that. You can hunt with me. Kingpin is not very good, or I'm not very good, so most of the time nothing gets shot. It's Maggie saying about Michigan. Is that you or is that Michigan? Is Michigan sour with deer? They're low on deers. Mike is saying, our DJ's dropping some links. Thanks for that. Mike is saying, I love to hunt small animals, but the bigger they get, the less I want to hunt them. Interesting. I get that, though. I totally get that. Maggie saying, I started as a teenager with my dad and uncle. Then in college, my buddy started going with us hunting. Do you guys go hunting like squirrels and little stuff, rabbits and that, or is it all just deers up there? So there's a whole nother thing about just going out with a 22 and, I mean, quote unquote, hunting rabbits. Basically, you're going around scouting for deer or turkey or whatever, and you bring a rifle with you in case there's a squirrel that's bothering you. You can shoot at it. But I don't know. I guess some people eat tree rats, but I don't like the idea of it. But I can understand it. I hate squirrels sometimes too. You know, you're out there minding your business, trying to kill something else, and a squirrel comes over and is being a jerk. Anyway. I go mostly as an excuse to hang out. My uncle is an amazing cook. Well, that's the other part. There's a lot of people that like eating that stuff right off the critter, right? And you only get to experience that when you go get a critter to take it off of. And, you know, that whole like circle of life and being in touch with the actual elements that are on this rock that's flying around the sun and all that, as opposed to going to the store and unwrapping some bullshit from plastic on a foam sheet and putting that in the microwave or boiling it or whatever you do. Let's see, rabbits and birds are okay, but that's about it. Hogs too. That's a whole nother thing. When you talk about pig hunting, I think there's so much opportunity in pig hunting Right now, the only people that pig hunt are hunters. It's kind of obvious, right? And then every once in a while, some guest of a hunter. But there's a lot of opportunity in pig hunting. And if you're in the 2A community, we can talk about that. But there's a lot of potential in there. Pigs are invasive and destroy everything. Yeah, nobody likes pigs. And Michigan's got tons of deers. Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it. So let's go back to Ginny Thrasher. So 2 posts ago, she was talking about her sticker, and then here she is doing the pose, I guess, to show where the sticker comes from. I think that's cool. So it's also an indicator of how cool you can bring your project, your branding, whatever you want to call, like your presence, your whatever it is you're doing, whether it be on your website or on one of the social platforms or just in real life. You know, she's out there being a shooter and inspiring people, offering coaches better coaching, offering teams and individuals the actual coaching, and then inspiring, right? So having stuff like this to be part of that experience. Can you imagine being a little girl and going, oh, I can shoot like daddy or mommy? And then, oh, like, look at this girl who's like working her way through college probably or past and, you know, making a living with this whole thing that I dig. And now I can walk away from meeting her with a sticker. Like, that's the kind of stuff that changes the way the future works, and everybody's bitching and moaning doesn't change the future, right? So if you're thinking about, oh man, what do you do to take it up a notch? I don't know, get some stickers made. There's some cheap ass ones out of the East Coast, or you could go over to Owl and Anchor, who may not be the cheapest ones on the block, but you're supporting an organization, a crew that is in California, has been fighting for rights and awareness as long as I've known them. Came into the realm, me knowing them from that, and they continued to fight it out over there through $6.40-something gas right now. So, oh, your stickers cost more. $6.40-something gas. Having a presence or 2A in California and what stickers can do. Some people will dismiss all this shit. Blah, blah, blah. I offer an alternative opinion on that. So then we got Cape Gunworks, who does a radio show from their gun shop each week. But they do that radio show, or the radio show kind of came from a guest spot on a bigger radio show that happens daily in the Boston area called Grace Curley. And Grace Curley's on vacation. She should always take a vacation. And Toby took over I guess I don't have to do it right this second, but stupid spam from stupid politicians. Toby took over while Grace is on vacation and had 2 days so far of kind of taking over the show and being the guest host. And then tomorrow, Monday, he'll be back there again. So if you want to listen to that, I was listening to it on their website here, or, you know, this is a video of them watching it right on the website, I guess I should say. This is on their Instagram. But I watched it one day like that, and the other day I watched it on Rumble. And if you happen to watch it on Rumble, let's have a conversation about Rumble. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody can go have a great experience. I'm interested in seeing what people think after watching a larger version of the biggest thing I've ever seen on Rumble so far is the Grace Curley show. A lot of interaction, like the most people I've ever seen on Rumble is on the Grace Curley show. And it might be different with Toby in there. I suspect they were mostly going like, oh, Grace ain't here today. Like, so I think it's probably even more busy when Grace is there. Anyway, so it's just different watching a popular, busy chat on a platform that is nowhere near YouTube. We take a lot for granted with YouTube. Like, oh, the internet should just be this way. No, this is one of the largest entities on the internet harvesting data from us to give us this convenience and these features. Let's not forget that. Let's in fact remember that nothing is free. Nothing is we're not obligated, or they're not obligated to provide any of this. Everything they were getting for free is being recorded, logged, used. AI is now scrubbing it to figure out what we are probably going to do next so that they can sell us shit and fiddle with us. So be skeptical of the big stuff and be aware of the little stuff and make your choices deliberately. So speaking of that, Clover got whaled on. He's not going to say that he got whaled on by Chinese cartels, but because I don't think that's what happened. But because I actually know what happened, but it sounds better to say that he got whaled on by Chinese cartels. Anyway, so he's over there not doing nothing. He had a pretty calm week, just minding his business, and his website screwed up. So he had to put his website back together. When you're competent, able, and experienced with fiddling with a website, it took him moments to put it together. So if you'd like to be confident, able, and experienced with your own website, it's super cheap and easy. Talk to Nightstrike or Mike from YouTube or from guntube.org. He also hosts, or he also has 2A web hosting. I should probably get a link to that. And you can get a website from the same guy who hosts guntube.org. It might even be on their servers. I don't want to give away any secrets, but it might be on their servers. I don't know, actually. 2A web hosting, right? That's, I believe, what it's called. Getting a website is super easy. It's super, super easy. So here it is. 2A web hosting, easy control web panel, or easy control panel hosting of your website. So in other words, you get hooked up with 2A web hosting and you get a control panel that lets you deal with everything you might want to do without having to deal with Nightstrike at all, except if you have a question, and then he's there for you if you need him. But it's completely yours to do with what you want, and then he can offer help if you need it. Boom. So that being said, Clover was able to handily rebuild his website, add a couple of different touches to it. Notice he removed the gun channels thing. He's ashamed of gun channels. He has stupid Facebook up there, but he took gun channels down. What's up with that? Anyway, so you could get comfortable with running a website. You should. You can run a revolver, or can you? You can run a semi-auto, or can you? Right? Can you take apart a Makarov? Think about it. Can you take apart that 1897 shotgun we just showed you there? It's a little bit different. You know, it breaks into two pieces. If you're like, yeah, no problem. Well, can you run your own website? It's super freaking easy. I mean, I know like kids that can do it. I know old people that can do it. Literally the whole spectrum. I'm going to teach my dog to do it just to bother people who think it's difficult. So get your own website already, especially if you got something to add. If you have something to leave to people behind, right? The people that are coming next, whether it be your people or the people that you dig, leave some pictures, leave some links, right? It's a diary. It's like leaving them a photo album. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to have a piece of the internet. When you have a piece of the internet, you get to develop that. You get to have some fun with it. It costs almost nothing. It's like $20 a year, I think. It's like almost nothing. So consider it. Be part of the internet, and more than just presence on platforms that we all know could care less about our industry, our culture, our community, us. We're using their platforms because they don't care, or they're harvesting data from us, probably to use against us, or at least to sell to the people that are going to use it against us. So I'm going to encourage people all the time to get your own website. I don't care if you do it with Nightstrike or not. I'm just trying to help a person who's in the industry creating a video hosting platform in competition, not in competition, I should say, but as an alternative, as a second place to put your stuff or a place to create your stuff that's focused on firearms. So if you want to support that project, you know, consider doing something on a website through his system. All right, so getting back to Instagrams, Cape Gunworks posted a thing about guns, stop violence. I dig it, considering it's not even winter. That means that they just posted this picture from winter as a reminder, as a to help normalize and create awareness that guns ain't the problem. So Eye on the Target Radio seems to have started. I'll drop a link in case you're interested in a radio show that has a brother and sister team, Amanda Suffolk and her brother, Rob. And Amanda this show is the first show that's nationally syndicated, that's focused on firearms, that is hosted by a female. And of all the shows that are broadcasting live and streaming on YouTube, this is the only one that actually participates in the live chat. So whenever that happens, when I can do it at the beginning of the show, I like to say something like, first, thumb up. And then let the robot spell everything right for me. Because if you're a human, you shouldn't have to spell everything all the time. Robots can do that for you. There you go. soon they'll just say things for me. Like I'll just think it and then it'll pop up on the screen. But until we have that operating system, we'll just use our keyboards to do it. Soon another radio show will pop up and we'll do something similar. So I was going to pop a poll up and I can't remember what the poll was. So I guess we got lost on that. It was something about Colion Noir. I'm going to blame Nancy Pelosi for me losing track of that one. And that means we close the other poll unnecessarily, which is also messed up. All right, DJ's dropping links. Tactical quiz, thanks for that. Have a great rest of your shift. Somebody's taking off, so thanks for jumping in while you were able. And then Michigan has tons of deers. So we're going to go back to, again, Kite Gunworks posting that cool message. Now here is Rebecca Schmoy talking to Ted Cruz, and it says, when Ted Cruz realizes that you are a DC Project Foundation state director and you are running for your state House of Representatives seat. And it's got them two looking at each other. And then the next scene is them laughing, I guess. So I wonder if that was staged or if like really he was like, wait, what? You're running for office? That's awesome. In which case she reacted like, yeah, isn't it? And then they snapped that picture. I'm going to act like that's how it went. So yeah, Rebecca Schmoy is, some lady who is some kind of lawyer who works for she's a banker that is decided that being a Second Amendment activist wasn't challenging enough. So she decided to run for the state House of Representatives in Kansas and won the primary. So now she's on the ballot for office at the state level as a DC Project delegate. Ladies putting their money where their mouth is and now stepping up to the plate. I don't know what to call it when you do more than put your money where your mouth is. So there's a whole bunch of people shooting machine guns right now. It doesn't matter what time it is. Well, okay, if you're listening to this live, right now they're shooting machine guns because Big Sandy is this weekend. It's probably getting close to the end. Right now, actually, wait a minute, what time is it? 2 o'clock? Yeah, it's probably getting close to the end, but they've been shooting machine guns since Friday afternoon. Not quite nonstop, but this is just an indication of one portion of the ammunition that one participant brought with for 3 days worth of machine gun shooting. So there's about a quarter mile. It might be longer, shorter, depending on the year, kind of swells or shrinks depending on people's interests and whatnot. But there's a quarter mile of firing line, and people that are interested and able bring their full auto, belt fed, tripod mounted, vehicle mounted, handheld, sub gun. I've shot tiny revolver. I've shot 22 shorts. I've shot my smallest guns there. I've shot not every gun I own there, but I've shot like my smallest gun there, and then switched over to a Ma Deuce just to be able to say I've done it. And people set up a pop-up shut. What do you call it? Roof usually. So that kind of determines their space on the line, and then they can park right there. There's a pretty good gap between the firing line and the cars where they're parked behind there for support. And that provides a big opportunity for spectators. So there's all these people that participate that take up about a quarter mile of desert. They shoot into a hill. They own all the property, and they'll put out 55-gallon drums on the hill with dynamite and fireworks. So the same kind of aerial burst fireworks that they'll throw up in the air at a city or a country club or a golf resort or Disneyland or something, like pretty big scale fireworks. They'll put those in a 55-gallon drum on the floor or on the ground out there. So when a tracer hits that, it'll explode into a giant firework off the ground. It's pretty fun. So they'll do those during the day, but even more of them at night. So a lot of these rounds that'll be shot are tracers, considering most tracers come from the Cold War. These are guns, these are ammo that was designed to be created in more than bulk, designed in massive scale to be used in wars, and instead is being shot recreationally into the hills of Arizona twice a year. Awesome event. It's a celebration of the Second Amendment, capitalism, freedom, and individual liberty. People exercising their right and their interest in these machines. Often these are gunners. These are people that designed or built or were part of the operation or the maintenance or the evolution of these machines, and they go out and and have fun with it. Some of them are literally building things that using this as a test bed or to get advice from others. And, it's just an evolution of what was originally just some friends getting together, and it turned into an established thing and then a tradition. And now, again, something that is kind of an undiscovered gem, but something that's been going on for so long that it's such a feather in our cap as a community, and it's such an accomplishment that, again, of the private ownership of machine guns is normal, and it is productive, and it is nonviolent, and it is super fun. The same way that someone would suggest that belt-fed machine guns can only be violent, that's like suggesting a Humvee can only be used to kill. It's just a ridiculous, asinine assumption. It's an asinine marginalization, and it's designed to make guns, it's designed to marginalize the gunner. It's designed to move a narrative. So we get better when we're able to show, illustrate, and discuss these things. And Big Sandy is a great example. Again, decades of example of the recreational private ownership of the worst things that they can ever imagine. And there's, of course, no consequences in a negative way from this at all. All right, so yeah, this guy says money, money, money. That's a lot of money. So think about people are devoting their time and effort into having this as their recreation. People look at this and go, oh man, I can't afford that. What about a bass boat? What about going to sports out of state? What about Disneyland? People are allowed to have interests that take resources. Think of the evolution of this. Think of the knowledge base that's happened. And this particular post is from a gunsmith who can probably gunsmith as good as some of those gunsmiths in Vegas that we've talked to. Because of experience like this. These are the larger scale ordnance that people own. I don't know what you call cannon, but whatever. You can own cannons. It's bullshit that you can't own cannons. You can't have live rounds that explode, but you can take a bunch of chalk and shoot at something, and then somebody else can shoot a tracer at a firework, and an idiot will think that you're shooting a cannon into the hill, right? Like idiots that don't pay any attention to what the facts are can misinterpret what's happening here. But here's a pretty good video of the night shoot where they're shooting these tracers. Typically greens are the commies and reds are ours. Not always. This is the minigun shooting 5.56. I guess I could probably put audio on. No, they got a bunch of music playing. That thing that's hovering is a drone. Well, not a drone. It's not the drone we're used to. It's the kind of drone like an old-fashioned remote-controlled airplane made out of styrofoam, and then they had affix like about a dozen glow sticks to it at night. So it's this big glowing foam disc that flies back and forth with a gas airplane motor and some remote controls. So they're perishable, and they'll fly them back and forth across the line until somebody kills it. And the tracers will shoot at it at night and use the tracers. And you can tell who's done aerial, target shooting before and who hasn't. But again, there's no qualification on what you do with your full auto. You can't really rent here. It's not that kind of thing. There is one booth that offers rentals, and I don't know if they do it at night for safety or whatever, but it's an awesome experience. I can't imagine. I could probably count how many times I've been up there, but it's more than just an experience. There's the audible part of this, and then there's the smell, and there's nothing that you can do other than go to basic and do your night shooting at basic. This is kind of what the night shooting at basic can look like, depending on your MOS or whatever. But that's the only way you're going to smell. Tracers have a smell. Those flares in the air have a smell. The things that are exploding have a smell. Every kind of gunpowder has a different smell. Guns heating up have a smell. Gun oil has a smell when it gets boiling hot. People walking around kicking up dust has a smell. It's amazing. It's a overwhelming in a way that you need to experience it. Being near ordnance when it's going off like that, again, you don't get to experience it very often. Having the whistle blow and everybody start essentially a mad minute, except it lasts for a few hours, is something that a lot of people don't get a chance to participate in. So here in Arizona, experience, well, you can go again in March, but this is how you can experience the Second Amendment, freedom, and liberty. And then Cordite. Think of all the people, and you go there and you chat. So they shoot for the day. They shoot, they break, they go to eat lunch and dinner and stuff, clean your guns, whatever, get ready, load mags, load belts, load belts, load belts, load belts, load mags, stuff mags. eat. Their 4-H provides food up there, so pretty much everybody eats with the 4-H, and then bullshits, talks, hangs out, talks about guns. It's like the gun show that everything pauses for a while and then you shoot guns. There's nothing like it. So much better than anything that was kind of like it in the past, and unique. Anyway, worth checking out if you ever have a chance to, and don't exploit it. A couple of people that exploited it. Let's see. Semi-full auto or full semi-auto is enough for anyone. You're right. No one needs full auto, really. Don't they also shoot down planes? You bet. Yeah. I have definitely shot at planes. I can't say that I personally shot one down, but I have shot at them. Let's see. Join us for a special free seminar on Friday, October 21st at 6 p.m. Professor David Clements presents Restoring Trust in Elections. So I thought this was kind of cool. The Cape Gun Workshop in Massachusetts that we're big fans of is using I'm guessing they're having this in their classroom, right? The room that they have available for classes and for events, they're making that available for a political thing. And there's a lot of places that would would not go near that. But I think it's cool, so I've posted it. Let's see. NAGA is saying that they're going to be at SHOT Show 2023. Come see us at booth whatever. Of course, I don't know the booths enough, especially not they changed it. So I asked them if that's going to be the same as last year. We'll see if they answer me. Last year, the way SHOT Show was set up, let's see. Let's go grab a SHOT Show map, shall we? Let's see how far into the show they are over here.
Well, cycles, it starts to rock back and forth, and then the slide gets bigger.
I don't know what's going on over there. And then let's see if anything else is live. Is that Ghost? So Come and Talk It Radio is also live right now. So this is a gun shop in Texas. Goes live on Sunday afternoons with a radio show from the gun shop, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not positive. They don't really answer the questions in the comments. I don't know. They sometimes answer some questions, but I don't think they've actually ever addressed my questions in there. So I don't know if I just don't know. Everybody uses Instagram and YouTube a different way. So this is, again, the gun shop in Austin they're broadcasting live right now. Eye on the Target is also broadcasting live right now. And as you can see, they kind of sometimes sync up with their commercials. Sometimes they don't. They're both 2 hours long. So I don't know how long I'll be quirking them, but I am officially quirking 2 established shows that have a time slot, and I am recklessly, intentionally jumping on top of their time slot. And that's called quirking. All right, so, but whatever. It has to happen every once in a while. What was I opening up that other window for? No, I forgot what I was opening up that other window for. So we'll keep moving. So then, what is this one? Asian Pacific American Gun Owners Association is posting about the 10/22 shoot on 10/22. So 22s on 10/22, Saturday, next Saturday, I guess, October 22nd, 9 to 11. So for 3 hours only. There's a range day. Now, I don't know how to say Apago, whatever how you say this. I don't know if that organization is the one putting it on, because it's also branded with some other things right here. This is the range, the Shooting Sports Park, and then NSSF must be involved. But I think that it's like I think this event is bringing together a bunch of different organizations. So we're going to try to have on Owl and Anchor. They're going to be at the event. We're going to try to bring them on this week on the Daily Gun Show to talk about the event and let us know what's up with it, like the details or whatever. As the kids would say, the deets. All right, that's it. That's the week. So that was the stuff I decided was worth clicking on and posting. Do you have a favorite post? What's your favorite post from the week? Is it the Colion Noir faces of gun owners? Is it the Ginny Thrasher sticker? Is it the Superman going in and out of the thing? Is it... If I say Ron or Gizzard, you're going to vote for those guys and not vote for these other ones. So I'm going to leave it at that. Whatever the 2 I just said was. Ginny. Wait, did I say the sticker? And no, what did I say? I don't even remember. So you pick what your favorite post was, say what it was, and then everyone will know what you think your favorite post was. And we'll wrap this thing up. So I can't imagine too many people listen to this whole thing. I guess leave us some feedback. I know some people listen to this while it's live, but it's a little bit different when we're live because we're having a conversation and there's probably nothing else on right now except the radio shows, right? But if you're listening to this in the future, it's because you chose to. So if you chose to listen to it all the way to here, leave us a comment. Let us know where it was. Did you watch it over here on the YouTubes? Was it over there on guntube.org or one of those other platforms that we post this to? And if so, leave us some feedback on the show itself. If it's something you're interested in, if it should be shorter, that's the main thing. So I tried to make it an hour, and we're way over 2 hours. So obviously, too much chatting. It's because I'm spending too much time looking at the comments. That's what we need to know. All right, well, at this point, I'm cramming into 2 other shows. I'll let this one go. Jenny. It's pronounced Apagoa. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're voting for your thing. So Kingpin is saying Colion Noir. Krabby Turtle is saying Ginny. It's Ginny, like gin, the drink, Inny. I think. I'm almost positive it is. And then, oh yeah, I think I did say Colion Noir, the faces of gun owners or whatever. I don't know. Oh, and then the Superman. That was the 3. I'll leave you with those 3. All right, with that, NRA is a bunch of punks for acting like they have anything to do with constitutional carry. If anything, they stood around not getting in the way of it sometimes. But, I'll give them New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, and I'll give them, the ranges and the training and everything else. But at the same time, what the hell, man? Plus, what the fuck's up with putting our flag like that? I don't like it. Otherwise, everything else is good this week. We will pass this one off to next week. I don't have any polls going because I forgot what that last poll was going to be. I forgot what I was going to do after the show, so I got to remember what I have up on the agenda next. Who else is showing? Oh, well, I guess I can tell you about the radio shows, which I've already linked you to. It looks like they have somebody on. Mike and Krabby Turtle are already over there, so they know who that is, maybe, if they're listening. But they've got somebody on, and it looks like the Austin Purge is upon us. What does that mean? So Come and Talk It is talking about something too. Looks like they're talking passionately about something on both of these shows. So I'll hand you off to both of those, and we'll be back to pick you up later. Oh, wait, am I looking at YouTube anyway? I should be looking at Instagram. I should have left you off at an Instagram page. I totally did this show wrong. I'm going to do this show over again and get this ending right. I'm going to land this ending correctly. So we'll be right back and just do this whole thing over again. No big deal. Thanks. You're not obligated to sit through it the second time, but if you do, you get 4 hours worth of the show. It's pretty good. Pretty good deal.
Tonight's episode, The Ripoff.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals at GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching GunWebsites.com. Do 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 do.